Yo, 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 yo. What's good, dialoguers? It's your boy Mind Dialogue back once again, sharing info for you to comprehend. And before you know it, you'll start to ascend. So I am back, folks, for another session. Feeling much better this evening or tonight than I did a couple nights ago, and was able to get some well-needed rest yesterday. So it's been some pretty fun stuff happening in the market. We had Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell do his press conference yesterday, and him and the rest of the, I guess they're like the board of governors for the Federal Reserve, they made a decision on interest rates and decided to keep things where they are. So they did not increase interest rates, nor did they reduce interest rates. They just kept them as they were. The market is pricing in at least 2 interest rate reductions before we end the year. So we'll see how those things pan out. We know Trump wants Powell to reduce interest rates and is not very fond of Powell because he won't beg and beckon at his heels. But we need a monetary policy entity such as the Federal Reserve to maintain its independence away from the government as much as possible and focus strictly on monetary policy, because the day that government truly has such a strong influence on monetary policy is going to be a bad day. But until we get there, we're going to continue doing our best and assessing these markets. So want to jump into things. Got a lot to cover. I may have to do 2 videos because of that. But before we jump into things, I would love for you to like, subscribe, comment, and share. You can donate to the Cash App if you feel so inclined. Cash App is $MINEDIALOGUE. Email is minddialogue@gmail.business@gmail.com. So we're gonna hop right into things. So I think Tuesday night, I believe, when I was talking to you all, I told you that the Fed interest rate decision was coming up, and so I just want to walk you through a couple things that took place since then. So hopefully, unfortunately, the charts are a little bit noisy because I utilize all these things, especially if I'm happening in a trade, which I was able to get into a trade this morning, which is July 31st, 2025, or Thursday. Did not trade on the day the Feds made their interest rate decisions. Would have loved to, because I was expecting a move that eventually came in the afternoon. Once I saw that interest rates remained flat or just stayed where they were, I was expecting a nice push down move, and that's what we got, and better leading into today. So just want to give you some context of what happened essentially Tuesday night going into Wednesday Federal Reserve interest rate decisions, and then here Thursday where we're currently at. So as you remember, we got a nice push down move actually on Tuesday that I missed out on. I tried to catch the move back up, but they came back. They started to push below some key levels, and I decided to get out, which was a smart decision. Even if they ended up coming back in, you got to make the best decision in the moment, because if they didn't come back up and I stayed in the play, I would have got screwed and lost that money. And I'm in a place right now where I'm trying to preserve capital, so I really need to get out at places where I have my stop loss, or if something happens in the charts that I don't like and I'm in the play, I just need to get out. So We sold off a nice little sell off, and then we slightly pushed up, went into this purple area. I'm not sure what I made that purple area from. Let's see here. I'm not sure where I started it from, but nonetheless, they pushed up in here. All the bodies of the candles respected the space. They sold it back down, consolidated for a little bit, pushed down even lower in my first area of interest. If you remember, I said that these areas that I'm able to create when I develop my discount levels, these areas are very key. And you can see what they did here. They manipulated down into this, but the bodies respected the areas like really beautifully. I'm going to start labeling out my levels and a little bit better, just so I can remember exactly like why I put certain levels, because there are key things happening and I want to make sure that I'm able to catch those things. So once we hit in there, we popped up into, I'm gonna make this a little thicker, into this channel here. Make this pretty thick actually, into this like purple channel, or this channel created by, what is this thing doing? Is this thing I can slow again? Here we go. Let's make this thicker. So we hopped up inside of this channel, and then, we started teetering along it. This is an aftermarket trading essentially, right? So we're teetering and just consolidating while slightly going up. In aftermarket, we popped up once pre-market opened. Looks like a hammer-like candle. Then they came down. I made this green level here for some reason. I can't fully remember, but it is a pretty important level along with this channel. So they're essentially operating in this channel. They hopped up in the channel at 3:45 p.m. And then, you had this little manipulation here, but they respected the channel. Had a little manipulation there, came back inside, ping-ponging, and then you have a manipulation here first, right? And then we hop back up in it. So actually, let me give you a little bit more context. So the market opens here. So this is leading into the Fed decision, which comes out, I believe, around 2 o'clock. And then Powell, I think, starts talking at like 2:30, if I'm not mistaken, 2:30 p.m. So we opened the market and, nothing really special. They gave a couple like scalp moves, but nothing like of significance that, at least when I was looking at it, when I had time, it wasn't nothing too appealing to make me want to like jump in or anything. So opened the market, pushed up a little bit. They're still respecting the purple, the channel created by these purple trend lines. They manipulated below it. They hop back inside of it, right? So we're essentially in like in a relatively small range leading up to the decision. And so now comes the time around, so 2 p.m. you get this like indecision candle right here, right? And the reason we know it's indecision, and basically they try to throw traders off, is because you have the volume. It's mostly selling, but the bulk of it, of the trading and the selling, is in the middle range of this candle, just about, right? You have the entire range that goes from up here to down here at the bottom of the channel, and it stops relatively in the middle. So then they push down. They do an aggressive push up, right? So we do an aggressive push up, and so I had remember this 3 hour discount level still in play till this day, and then this 3 hour measurement stop. So look what happens. We close above. So really this created like the entry model that we like to see, but they did a very aggressive move because when they're about to make this move, they definitely want to leave people behind. So they close, the discount levels at 636.77. They went up as high as 637.52 and then closed at 637.32. So they essentially went up almost $1 above the discount level and closed at 637.32. Swept the highs. Remember, that's what we like to see. We like to see a sweep of the highs of the previous high that was made. So we went up high and then we closed down here, but we want to see this high swept before the reversal. They sweep it, wick into the 3-hour stop, right? And then you get this beautiful sell-off. Look at this sell-off. That's beautiful. That's one of the better moves we've gotten in probably in the last week or so. Nothing. When you see so many bodies like this, these are the type of moves we like to see, where you get mostly bodies and as little wicks as possible, because the wicks are mostly like manipulation, buying up, selling off, and a lot of chop. But we love full bodies like this. So once they sweep the high here and wick into the 3-hour measurement stop, you got a beautiful, like, let's say we entered off of that high sweep at 637.54. They came down and made lows at 631.45. That's a beautiful move. It really is. Like, you can't ask for any better. That's a beautiful move right there. We're talking about a $6 move in a relatively short period of time. So once the high got swept, between 230 and 235, we came and made lows by 305. That's a nice, sturdy, beautiful minute move. Over $6 move in 30 minutes. It's beautiful. So then we come down below the 50% 3-hour level, right? They manipulate below it a couple times. This is on the 5-minute now. So if, let's say we go, let's see what it looks like on the hour. See what it looks like on the hour. Let me make sure that's recent. Let's see here. Is this what it was? Oh, this is Monday. Wednesday is right here. So yeah, on the hour, look what happens, right? You get this close below the 50% level, and what happens again? We sweep the lows, hit the bottom of the channel of this particular trend area. I wish I would have made it a little bit cleaner, but nonetheless, we hit the bottom of it. So it was drawn good enough. We hit the bottom, wick into another key area, and then you get a buy up and leading into aftermarket, because Meta, or formerly known as Facebook, and Microsoft and a couple others, I think Cisco with an S, I believe. I think there's 2 Ciscos, but there are a couple companies who reported, notably Meta and Microsoft, and they were flying in aftermarket. So as a result, the S&P 500 started flying, because they make up a nice chunk of the S&P 500, right? And so they made lows down at 631, close to market close. In the last hour of the market, we closed at 634.47. And look what happened in aftermarket. They pushed all the way up. In the pre-market, we got as high as 641. And look where we are. That beautiful level 2 retracement. And look what they did with that level 2. Now, we didn't get a sweep of the highs, but they went and made the high, and then they just went to selling off from there in pre-market. Let me go back down on the 5-minute. Right? This is Thursday still. That's not what I want. So yeah, they Let's see here. Yeah, so they went up here. I was able to find this descending channel here after they went up in the 2 level, ping-ponging inside of it, right? And then when we got ready for market open, this is what happened. Let me try to, this is really messy. I'm sorry about that, but I had to do some key things to really catch to see what was going on. I think I even went down on I think this channel here, I got it from a lower time frame. Let me see what I got it from. Yeah, I think I got it from at least this 3-minute, because look how the price action respected the channel until we broke out. I put a circle around this area because this is where a lot of trend lines I was drawing were converging at or coming together to make like an X type of illustration here. And really that could have been the entry. I also have this thick green line. These thick green lines were key areas for me. I ended up, this was a key area that I really wanted to enter, but I didn't want to get in too early to where they would have chopped me up or tried to reverse and kill my contracts. So as I started making different just trend lines and channel, right? So this was a key trend line for me right here. That was key. The trend line going down, or the channel here going down, that was key. So I'm gonna make these stickers so you can see it a little bit more pronounced, because I want you to see like what I was looking at in real time and why I took the trade I took. So I had this trend line here because we were coming down inside of this channel and we were coming to contest this trend line here. And so in my eyes, what I wanted to see was, all right, a break of this trend line, but the channel here still could hold us up. So I didn't want to get in until we broke this channel, and they still tried to come back up. But I felt confident once that's why I made this thick green line right here, because that green line would be, to me, kind of like the final place that we can get held up, because we already broke this ascending trend line going up, and then I wanted to see if they wanted to catch it inside the bottom trend of the channel, this black channel here, the 2 black trend lines that create this channel, this downward or descending channel. I wanted to see if the bottom of the channel would make us go up one more time. I was expecting a move up to reject to then fully come down, but they took the move pretty quickly. So once we broke here where the green line in the bottom of the channel was, I think I initially got in off of the initial break. Let's see on the 5-minute if it looks different. Let's see here. No, I think I might have took it. I wonder, I'm trying to remember where I took it. Was it like the 3-minute or 2-minute? Because they did push back up slightly. It might have been or possibly could have been a 1-minute. I wanted to get an entry as quick as possible, so it may have been the 1-minute. Let's see here. Yep, it was the 1-minute. So let me tell you what happened here. So once we broke below this green line in the bottom of the channel, I entered here. So what they did was they came down, then they went back up. My exit plan was if we were to go back up and break this first green line right here. So let me just put it real quick so y'all could see. So this was going to be my exit. Right? And then, hold on, what the heck did it just do? This is weird. There we go. So that was my exit. This was my entry. right? So I entered off of this break, and my exit would have been right here. So a nice, I wasn't risking a lot, right? So they went back up here. Looks like consequent encroachment or halfway of the spatial area here. And then we started dumping. I was actually at an event at one of my sites, doing some tabling for our program. One of our partners wanted us to come there and just, show face and support and do some recruitment and engagement. So, I work in the youth development field. So I'm a director for an organization. I manage about 6 sites. We'll go into that later on, but I kind of had my levels and all these things panned out. The only thing I did was I essentially started creating some trend lines and, essentially creating a trap for me to see what was potentially going to happen. And once that criteria was met, I went ahead and entered the trade. I sold really quick because I wasn't able to fully focus, and I wasn't, again, I'm not trying to risk that much, and I'm not trying to lose money. So my goal, at least at this point right now, where I'm trying to preserve capital, is really to kind of get in and get out. And so once we went back up here, we started dumping aggressively, and I got out pretty quick. I think I got my so I saw these contracts when I first looked at these contracts, they were same days. The next days were too expensive, and so I saw the 636 same days were, they're at like a 0.26 delta, which is pretty high for a same day in my opinion. And so I was like, something's going on. These deltas are pretty strong. And this is why, because there was a lot of volume most likely coming into the market for puts or the move to go down. And so you can see once I entered, they pushed back up into the entry and then they sold off. So I didn't get a lot of drawdown because I entered here at 638.12 and I got basically 11 cents of drawdown. So that's a really good entry, right? Because that's as much as they went against my trade. I got in the trade to go down. I got in the entry once we broke that green in the bottom of this channel at 638.12, and they only pushed back as high as, they went back up as high as 638.23, right? And then they dumped. So on that dump, I think when I looked at it, I probably was in this trade for 5 minutes. And so I took a 26% profit. I saw the contracts as early as $42. I got in at 69 when I got this confirmation here, and then sold off at 88. So I got about a 26% profit margin, but man, was this a beautiful move. They sold insanely, right? I really wanted to sell down here. This is where I wanted to sell. This was my real profit area because I believe I did a retracement measurement, and the discount level showed up here, and you can see this is where they did a beautiful reverse. So basically they sold off, right? Came up a little bit here again, sold off again. So it was a heavy sell-off. By the time they got down here to where I really wanted to sell, I think the contracts were in the 200s, if I'm not mistaken, at least. Right? I believe it might have got up to like 250. And then again, we closed below that key level, swept the lows, and we got this beautiful reversal up. They went all the way back up. So down at 635, they went all the way back up, basically to where I entered. They went all the way back to where I entered, right? But let's say I would have stayed in the trade, they didn't break above where I wanted to exit. And so, but look what happened after they went back up to entry. They dumped even harder. They came all the way down here, right? All the way down here. I'm talking about, this was a beautiful move down to below the 3 hour 50%. When I looked at the contracts got as high as over $500. And mind you, I saw them at 42 at first, got in at 69. So if I had that money to risk and I didn't care about losing that $69, I could have stayed in this trade, or at least got two contracts, sold one at profit, and set the second contract at my exit to break even so I don't lose any money. And I would have captured a massive amount of this trade. They got to over $500. They basically went over 1,000%, because from 42 to 400 and 20 is to $420 is 1,000%, and they went to over 500, I believe, like 530, 550 or something. So there was a massive sell-off there. So really today, like, if you're really zoned in, you could have captured the move going down, got the reversal going up, and got the move going down again. So it was really a three-piece move. And so it was just a beautiful day. So I was able to get the win in, which is great, because I had the 2 days of losing. And mind you, the 2 losing days wasn't that my entry was necessarily the worst. Now, I might have got in a little too early in one time, but the entries are relatively pretty good. It's just that they were chopping and taking too long to make the moves, and I couldn't sit in the contracts for them to kill the value of them. So, but today you can see where I got the entry. They started making the move pretty quickly, and I didn't have to stay in the trade more than 5 minutes to capture 26%. So we got a massive sell-off, y'all. Massive sell-off. Let me hide the drawings and stuff. Not the drawings. Let me hide positions, and no, I want to hide all. So we got a massive move, and then right now, so I think what happened was, I think we ended up coming down and addressing that left shoulder that I showed you all the other day. Let me see here if I see it. Let's go on let's see if we can see it. Yep, there's on 5 minutes. So now, I was right initially, because the bigger head and shoulders did allow us to go up higher, as I indicated. That's what I remember. I said, I'm expecting us to go up higher. Now, we went down lower before we went higher, and so it does look like they swept the left shoulder, right? They went higher off of the manipulation of Microsoft and Meta in after hours, and then they dumped after that. So let me hide all of this again. So now it looks like we shifted, like there's been, like a market structure shift, essentially. So now, right, if you can see how much time we got left. Got about a minute left. So now we got this like real, oh man. So let's do this. Let me remove all of this to show you real quick. I'm gonna remove the drawings. Now we got this like sideways descending head and shoulder, where the head is right here, right? Right shoulder's lower, so we got sent lower. Came up into the head, like right here. So I gotta run, only like a minute left. I'll go a little bit deeper into things in my next video and kind of show you where we're at, where the market structure shift is. But don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. Money sign Mind Dialogue for the Cash App if you want to donate. That's MINEDIALOGUE. Email is minddialogue.business@gmail.com. But I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging in there, even with all the noise on the charts. But today panned out to be a strong day, and things are looking nice. I appreciate y'all. Have a great day on purpose.